right. Like it's almost like a lot of people like accuse Jay-Z of like stealing another guy's flow sometimes, and he'll just be like, "Where's his multi-platinum album?" I mean, like
Yeah,
I don't
go
know,
for it. Yeah,
go
yeah.
for it. Like if you're
Right.
such a genius and you come up with this stuff, you'll find another bit. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
And Joe's created many great
It's
bits.
just very funny. He did a great job of handling it too. So, but it's a thing of like, yeah, I don't know how the original guy or the tweeter, like he could have been like, he's not gonna take it down. It's got 380,000 likes, so he's not taking it down. But
Hello.
hey,
Hello.
Hey, sorry I'm late to this. I had it written down as 3:30, and that was wrong.
no
It's
worries.
fine.
We
You're
needed a little
totally.
extra time to.
Listen, we've got so much going on. We've got so much to get to, and we're all snowed in.
I think I wanted to let you know that I think I jerked off in that hotel room like 3 weeks ago.
I probably jerked off in it before you did, so it's fine.
No, it was so much DNA.
Wow. Well, hope.
Well, they don't clean this thing
murdered.
for coronavirus very well, because if I'm still getting Zoltan semen, then then I do not feel safe.
It's potent, man.
Well, we're already recording, but not for the podcast.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
I didn't mean
no,
to
you're-
open hard with
You're
shit.
fine. It's totally fine.
That's why I just told Andrew, I said, I'm going to start recording before we start the actual podcast because good stuff always happens. And we're like, stop.
Yeah, stop talking. You got to save it for the good.
Save it for the show.
Just for you, for clarification, we added guests about 8 episodes in, and we found that it's pretty cool. But it's best if so. We wrote monologue jokes. We do that every week, and we do about 10 minutes, and then you're kind of our audience. So like, but like a bad audience member, like heckle.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
You can boo us. You can
No.
go, that sucks,
I'll
You
point
can
out
go-
factual inaccuracies.
There you go. Turn off the camera. You can,
Just quit the Zoom. Hey, I don't want to do this podcast anymore. We quit.
that
Are you guys almost done?
look at your watch every 2 seconds.
Just get up and leave and
look at your phone. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
Order something loud from the wait. Hey, can I get 2 more Bud Lights? 2 more Bud Lights.
What how would you like us to introduce you?
Oh, I don't know. We're all friends.
Credit. I mean, like, okay, we'll throw
Credits.
Oh, you can mention the Modern Male thing I have up on YouTube.
Okay.
And
2 million views, right?
Yeah, we're almost at 2 million, creeping in. The views have slowed down so hard. It's like it's crawling in like this to 2 million. It's super slow. But yeah, that. And then
Cool.
I'm in Portland this weekend if you want to throw that out there.
That was the next question. You'll be at Helium this weekend. Man, I keep reaching out to him and being like, let me come down. I'll open for anybody. But
yeah, he already had openers set up. I was trying to like help get someone else to open for me, and they're like, "Yeah, we have Caleb Sinan and somebody else," and I'm like, "Oh, great!" So I got to dig myself out of like he's gonna crush, and then I gotta like figure it out while I'm out of shape and how to do what.
Yeah, isn't it like 50 people per show?
Yeah, it's only 50 people, so I'm not going to mention that if I sell it. I'm not going to mention it either way. If it sells out, I'm not going to mention that it was only 50 people. And if it doesn't sell out, oh boy, will I not mention any of that. Yeah.
Well,
I headlined Portland during the it was like in the summer during the wildfire and so it was like riots, wildfires, coronavirus, and it was like 20 people per show, and I was just like,
Jeez.
This is fucking brutal,
Yeah. People really help.
Well, it should be a little better than that down there, unless it keeps snowing. It won't. It's gonna stop. I think I always get it right, but say your last name.
Kasza.
Correct. Good job. You got it. And all right. And then after we do the monologue jokes, we literally just BS. There was nothing to prepare you for because it's who knows, And I don't think people listen that far in, so we're good.
Perfect.
Kasza.
Yeah, that's it.
It's recording. Ba-ba-da-da. Got that ready to go. Microphone. Andrew looks okay. Sounds great. Okay. Hey, welcome back to Homeschool, the podcast where Andrew Rivers and I, Cory Michaelis, perform about 10 minutes of monologue jokes and then BS about comedy, current events, and our thriving social lives. So, just comedy and current events. This week and every week, we have a guest who acts as our live audience, and we're very excited to have with us the great comedian of the special Modern Male. It's on YouTube. Check it out. Zoltan Kasza, everybody. Hey.
Thank you. Yay. Thanks for having me on this Zoom meeting. Very, very happy to be here.
Yes, Zoltan, Zoltan, Kasza, I'm not sure. And at Zoltan Comedy on things.
That's true.
Are you still there? Hello?
Oh,
Maybe
it was
I'm freezing.
frozen for a second. Was
Yeah, you froze there for a good 10 Mississippi. Yeah.
So did you guys. It's great.
Sure. My Wi-Fi timer, they only let you do 24 hours without relogging in, so it might just cut out in the middle of the show, but we'll see.
Oh,
what
yeah,
happens.
yeah. Hotel Wi-Fi. Interesting. Well, should we redo that intro or just go for it?
Let's just keep going. I mean, nobody listens this far into the podcast anyway. So.
What date? Do you have some live comedy dates to promote? I think Portland this weekend. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm at Helium Comedy Club this Thursday through Sunday. So come to that. And then in March, Port Charlotte, Florida, Vaginas Comedy Theater. And then the first week of April, Hilarities in Cleveland. Please come to all of these. Even if you don't live near, just come to all of them.
That's the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
We should just live stream all of our shows now. Anyway, that should just be a new thing that everybody does.
Just burn all our material
Exactly. I have Looney Bin. That's all.
Oh,
which one?
Tulsa, 24th through the 27th of February. That's not true. Andrew and I are going to be co-headlining the Chalet Theater. Oh, and not in France, but in Enumclaw. Watching. It's not quite France. On March 6th. Very exciting. And Andrew, do you got anything else besides that?
I'll do Tacoma Comedy Club this weekend and then headlining Laughs Comedy Club in Seattle next week, 26th, 27th.
I'm glad they finally took my name off the marquee because it made it look like I closed the place.
Yeah. You were the last comic, and then they were like, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah, we got to shut it down.
This is irresponsible.
Grand reopening after Zoltan Grand closed it.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Well, shit, let's do the jokes, Andrew. What do you say, huh?
Let's have at it.
3-second pause because we don't know how to edit. All right. Welcome to Homeschool, episode 30. We want to correct an error we made last week. I feel bad about this. We said we were the #1 comedy podcast in Sweden. Not true. We were actually the #7 comedy podcast in Norway. So fuck you, Sweden. We didn't like you anyway. We don't like you.
Yeah, fuck you, Sweden. Your chocolate sucks, and so do your watches and army knives.
All right. Yeah, but I think you're off a little there. I think you mean Switzerland on those.
It's the same.
Close enough.
Both are neutral in the world wars, and their fish are great.
Well, Sweden, same. Speaking of Stockholm syndrome, it's Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, and nobody I would rather spend it with than you two dudes.
That's an honor.
Yeah.
It wasn't my plan either, but I had to rethink my Valentine's Day last minute because I discovered that bath bombs aren't just farting in the tub. So I ordered my girlfriend a singing telegram. She's going to love it so much.
Zoltan's already shaking his head. No. Wait, by the way, you have a girlfriend? What is she in Canada quarantining since
Yeah.
2014? What I don't.
I told you can't meet her until this is all over. She's barely left the house because she's immunocompromised. So I know she's going to just die when she sees a barbershop quartet come to her front door.
Yeah. Not a great. Well, it might be okay because most barbershop quartets are so old they've been vaccinated for over a month.
Yeah, that's probably good. It was hard to. I hope they've vaccinated. It was hard to book. They have a couple birthday parties this week and a pretty full schedule, but she deserves the best.
I mean, they're working more than us right now. I guess. I need to get
Busy
these agent of the barbershop quartet.
This sounds like the most boring season of 90 Day Fiancé is Andrew's Canadian girlfriend.
He hasn't seen her in 90 days.
90 years.
Well, I mean, all that sounds kind of crazy. I hope you, by the way, I hope you paid extra for that beatboxing option. Just really spit on her.
That's what she likes when I spit on her.
Could be worse. Also, I saw a guy at the grocery store yesterday buying 2 cases of Coors Light and a Valentine's Day card. That was it. Quite the hopeless romantic, that fella.
Absolutely. Emphasis on the hopeless part. What happened? Did he forget the lube?
Well, I'm pretty sure a guy like that just uses Coors Light as lube and then calls his penis the silver bullet.
Well, I have a feeling she's going to be using her silver bullet later.
Oh, I get it.
Oh, it's a vibrator.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I think it's called Magic Bullet, maybe?
Yeah.
Or the chop slap, or I don't know.
Yeah, the Coors Light, that could just be a backup plan in case the card doesn't work. Then he's just gonna drink himself into a stupor.
48 Coors Lights.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna drink all of them if she doesn't like this superhero Valentine's Day card I got her.
He's just going through the wording like, oh, I hope this is the right one. Oh man. Well, that Coors Light, if it doesn't work out for him, by the way, is the can turns blue, and that won't be the only thing blue on his.
I don't get it. Like his toes from COVID?
Balls.
Thank you so much. I thought it was a COVID toes joke.
Foot fetish. Well, Andrew, it's frigid where you are there in Oklahoma City because you're performing there. How are the shows going?
Yeah, well, it is about 6 degrees right now, so it's only fitting that I spend Valentine's Day with my penis shriveled inside my body. But shows have been good. People are dying laughing. I'm leaving behind a real trail of tears. But,
they actually have a mural to that, like 3 blocks from the club. It's horrible.
We did have to cancel some shows, though. There's some stuff floating in the air that could kill everybody,
Oh, man. Is COVID really bad out there?
Oh, they don't give a shit about that, but it's a blizzard. We got 6.5 inches of snow.
Oh, yeah. I saw your photo. If that's 6.5 inches, I've been lying to women. Well, 7 out of the 8 counties in Washington are moving to reopening and calling it phase 2. And it sounds like Oklahoma has advanced to phase. Who gives a number 2?
It's crazy, I feel like I shouldn't be shamed for touring. I feel like I should be congratulated. I want a medal after this. These fucking 1%ers hide out in their mansions, and me and other working class Americans are out taking viral loads to the face for this country just to keep small businesses alive. All right. You don't like it? Why don't you move to Sweden where your bank accounts are?
Viral loads, your specialty on OnlyFans. Not mine.
I'm surprised I can still reach my own face.
Well, got your face in the Swiss Alps.
Thanks for the visual
there.
there.
By the way,
coming down, or
that's not a trail of tears. That's not a trail of tears. That's a trail of semen. The tears come later.
I don't feel like we should be ripped on for this. Like, we're just working on our QAnon fan base, and
absolutely,
the only ones coming out to the shows. So You got to pay the rent, you know?
I do a QAnon answer, QAnon and question. Oh, question and answer. I was trying to do a thing. Not gonna work.
Q&A?
Q&A, QAnon.
Q&A anon.
Q&A anon. There it is. Alcohol Anonymous. CDC. They just wrote. This is kind of wild. They've confirmed that masking double prevents 90% of the coronavirus from reaching you, or about the same as one mask worn properly. But the only 100% effective way is to just duct tape a plastic bag around your face.
That's very effective. They still mark it down as a COVID death, but yeah, the only masks they wear in Oklahoma is over their feet instead of grocery bags in the snow.
No boots.
No boots.
It snowed in Seattle too, by the way, while you were gone. Seattle snow is just like my erection. White, only comes once a year, gone before anybody can play with it, and fewer inches than the weatherman predicted.
The weatherman. Yes. I was saying it's a rule of 4 now for comedy, but hey, when you got that many good jokes, you can't let them go to waste. The only difference is the snow makes women wet.
Oh, okay, come on. I played golf here in the snow yesterday in Seattle.
How do you do that? How do you find your balls?
Well, it's easy. I just use my blue balls. In a shocking twist, I'm actually the Coors Light guy from earlier.
Projecting your insecurities onto some other guy. I get it.
Yeah. Hey, time for our Bachelor update and maybe our last one of the podcast, I hear.
I mean, yeah, hopefully for the last time. I told you I have a girlfriend in Canada.
Oh, no, I meant the show, The Bachelor.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense.
I'm not watching it anymore now that our friend Katie Thurston was eliminated from competition. It's a weird way to talk about it. She's rumored, though, to be the next Bachelorette, which is cool. I can't wait for the Renton, Washington hometown dates, right? Here's the Walmart where the crackheads chill out. There's our taco time. It's closed and pretty romantic. You want to drink a Coors Light and make out?
That's crazy. Katie might be the Bachelorette. I mean, I saw ABC was casting for seniors, but I didn't think they'd choose a 30-year-old Bachelorette. Gross.
Date her, didn't you? You read that.
That's what happens when you dump me. You know, you just get shit on a podcast forever.
Yeah, we're shitting on someone in their 30s while we're sitting here horribly into our 30s.
Yeah. Also, she's like on her way to 1 million followers, and I'm, losing people every time I post. But it's fine. Just it's all good.
30 yeah, well, I'm 40, so I might actually have a chance of getting cast now.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. Hey, I mean, if they start casting old bitches, you're gonna finally know how it feels to see a girl you love on TV dating other men.
Well, I have seen that already. Have you ever seen Debbie Does Dallas?
Good movie.
I might be on a TV show. It's possible. I got called about hosting a new show called Finding Florida Man. This is where we would go out, track down all the crazy criminals from Florida, and interview them about the crimes they committed. Gonna be pretty cool if I do it. I might meet Donald Trump. So.
Yeah, I think you guys have a lot in common.
Of course.
America is correcting a big orange mistake it made 4 years ago. McDonald's has heard the complaints and is bringing back the fan favorite High C orange drink after a 4-year absence from soda fountains. Now that Trump isn't on TV as much, there's no longer a shortage of orange dye.
This is random. It's not that random because it's connected to the last story. But did you know Ronald McDonald was retired as a mascot in 2016? Nobody noticed he got canceled. People just blamed him for getting Trump elected because Ronald showed Trump that clowns can hold positions of power.
Hey,
yeah. Come on. Hey, members of Congress are expected to vote on whether Trump still gets access to his security briefings. I'm not sure it's worth a vote. He didn't even read them when he was president. That's like taking away my access to condoms. It's like we weren't using these anyway. So,
Right? Maybe though, now that he's got all this free time, he, got hooked on phonics and learned to read.
Raw Dog Rivers. That's what I'm calling you from now on.
Oh boy. Let's hope it catches on.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. You're gonna come out.
Let's hope it's a viral sensation. It already has been several times. So
People just holding signs that say Raw Dog Rivers as you come out on stage.
you can't choose your nickname, I guess. That's fine.
Oh, I love it. Hey, studies. We love those on the podcast. One study recently showed that 27% of white evangelical Americans believe in QAnon, and they're all at our shows. A bunch of made-up stories about how a perfect man will save the world from unseen forces of evil. I'm shocked. This is hard to imagine. Wait, they also believe in Jesus. So
Yeah, well, yeah, I think they're all at my shows this week because my QAnon joke won't stop bombing. It is not a false flag operation. It's a good joke, but it's bombing so bad that I'm starting a conspiracy that the audience was paid by George Soros to not laugh.
Yeah, I saw Marjorie Taylor Brown Rex.
Green. It's a color and a name and a. What are you playing Mad Libs with names over here?
Joe Biden, you remember him? He is the president of the United States. Called for an extra 1,000 National Guard troops to help administer the vaccine. It sounds weird. I know I'm wrong about this, but it makes it seem like they're forcing people to take the vaccine at gunpoint, right? Which I think would work. We should administer the vaccine from a gun. Then more Americans would take it.
Yeah, perfect plan. Now kids will look forward to school shootings.
Right. Speaking of people who need to get shot, TikTokers are trying to cancel David Letterman for a 2013 interview with Lindsay Lohan, where he pestered her about rehab instead of promoting her movie,
Yeah, well, I mean, Scary Movie 5 is an important piece of cinema that should be discussed at length, but I think if you drive drunk and you're a role model, you should be shamed on national television.
Well, I watched the clip. You're going to have to cancel everyone in that audience because Dave was killing.
Well, our guest this week had a TikTok get 4 million views and then shaved his head, so he'll be in a conservatorship like Britney Spears any day now.
Zoltan.
That'd be great. I could actually meet my dad. That's the way it went down,
I don't have my buttons this week, so we're going to have to pretend there's clapping, just like you do at your shows, Cory. Please welcome Zoltan Kasza.
Whoa. What's that? I just like my arms. I do this so much now because of Zoom.
It's good. Yeah, it's good for an audio podcast.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. Glad you're pumping
Welcome.
your arms and not whatever else on the pod. We've had some last year. There's been some people getting in trouble for awkward.
Oh, Jeffrey Toobin.
Yeah,
he was pumping his dick on Zoom.
Yeah.
I believe him. I don't think he meant to do that. And because I'm in that in between. We all are. I don't know how you guys are with technology, but I'm in that in between where I still get it, but I'm close to not knowing it anymore. Like the next new thing that comes out, like I'm already on
Clubhouse.
I don't know that it's not listening to me. So while I'm trashing the speaker, I'm like, there's going to be a time when they hear all of this. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I saw somebody tweet. Who was that? It was a funny tweet of was it Shane Moss? Like Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Create a big long line out front so it looks cool, and then you get inside and nothing's happening.
Yeah.
I haven't. I did see somebody, Leah Lamar. You might know her. I don't know her, but she's really killing it and doing shows on Clubhouse.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
well, if you're hot, you can get people to pay attention to you. So that's really the way that works.
There's no pictures. There's no video. It's essentially this. It's a Zoom meeting where you can roll your eyes and no one will see. Like
I think someone basically described it as like all those hucksters that do the hotel conference room press.
Yes.
There's
a lot of people selling self-help and I can make you an entrepreneur. There's a lot of that stuff going on.
That's funny. I was just scrolling through the bios today on like who you should follow, and every single one said made 25 million by the time I was 23, and I'm an angel investor for this. I gave influencers $50 million in the last year, and I'm like, okay, what is this app? What's going
I
on?
don't know if I made $50 million that I would share that information with everybody.
It's
Yeah.
not my family.
It's exactly like real wealthy people don't tell you what they got. It's like when you see someone dressed really nice at a restaurant, they're broke as fuck and they are sweating that check coming. But when you see someone dressed in sweatpants at a fancy restaurant, they could buy the restaurant 10 times over. They're not worried.
Yeah. Well, if you make 50 million, you'll also be able to meet your dad. So let's make it happen.
What happened to your dad? Did he just leave when you were a kid, or is this some family trauma? We don't have to get into it, but
no, it's nothing traumatic. My parents broke up when I was born, and I was told I wasn't the reason, but you know. And then shortly after that, or 4 years after that, my mom and I moved to the States from Hungary. So I never met the man.
I see.
I was told he was a gypsy, so I'm half gypsy, which kind of, that goes in line with their whole, like, all the stereotypes.
Your mom's a gold dust woman.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, you are traveling town to town selling fake hope and promise. So I feel like you're following your father's legacy.
I am. It's in me. It's in my DNA. I can't stay in a place longer than 4 days.
And your DNA is in Andrew's hotel room. So
yeah, that's not a painting back there. That was
no, that's. I thought it was a Jackson Pollock, but apparently it's a Zoltan.
Zoltan Kasza back there.
Original. That's fun.
We're gonna sell that on eBay.
Oh yeah, for less money than it was worth.
What else is going on? So you're still touring. Well, we are trying to kind of go, whatever if they'll have us.
It's hard to book stuff, but
I'm a fill-in guy.
Yeah.
Like the Portland thing came up less than a month ago. I don't even know who dropped out. And then same with Cleveland. I think Port Charlotte's the only one where I wasn't filling in for somebody. But OKC, when I was there a month ago, I was actually booked to feature, and I never wrote it down because I was booked like in June, and I thought we'd all be dead by January. So I was like, I don't need to write this down. And then a week before I was supposed to be out there, Adam texts me and he goes, "Hey, actually, can you headline OKC next week?" And I was like, "Well, was I already booked?" And he goes, "Yeah, you were supposed to feature." I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, I'm in." I got a flight on points and got out there, but yeah, it's fill in, drop in work. So
that happened to me. I was supposed to. I mean, the weekend I filmed my special, I was supposed to feature for Tim Dillon, and then a week before he said he was bringing a feature, and so I got demoted to MC, and then like 3 days before he just canceled. And so I got promoted from MC to headliner. So I was like, I think I have 45 minutes of new jokes. Let me just try this stuff. And then I just put it out,
Well, so, that thing's doing well on YouTube.
100K is not bad, I got a small channel, so I've been trying to build it up, but it's YouTube's hard to gain momentum,
It is. The only reason Modern Male did well is because I had a bunch of subscribers that only subscribed to me because Dry Bar.
Right.
And I posted my stuff on there. So then I started with not started with, but once they posted, it got me like 30,000 subscribers. So once I put the Modern Male up there, those 30 pushed it. And then the algorithm took over.
Yeah. Yeah. I had Steve Hofstetter put out my special on his channel, and he's got like 700 million subscribers or whatever. But then for whatever reason, no one clicks on anything on his channel that is not him.
Right. Yep.
So it's got like maybe 8,000 views on his channel. And so I'm like, all right, thanks for the help, but it didn't really do anything.
Yeah, you can't do it. Like, they like you. And if you post anything that isn't you or you doing stand-up, even I made like a vanning vlog that was really funny.
Yeah.
And people that have watched it have left comments like, "This is great," but the viewership is so much lower than anything that's not me on stage holding a microphone.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's sort of like TikTok too. If I do like some bit or like whatever, you know, I posted that thing, like this thing, you is a dick
Yeah.
joke basically, and I got so many DMs on Instagram, and it's got like 700 views on TikTok, and I'm like, you're wrong. This is good. Like, well, show this to people, you know.
That's funny because I posted one of Andrew's TikTok bits that did well on my Instagram, and I just saw today on IGTV it has 15 views. And I don't get a lot on IGTV, but it's like 2,000, 15 for Andrew. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what happened, but it's all wild, it's all crazy, and the consistency is especially, I mean, on all of them, but TikTok for me is like once I stopped for a week and then put one up, it was like nothing because
Oh, really?
I was out, and so this I was just a stir crazy. You've been there relatively recently, I think, and I recorded it, and I'm trying to get it captioned and put it. You know, I even asked you. I was like, "Who does your captions?" And you're like, 15 different people."
Yeah. So the one that got the 4 million views on TikTok, the Comedy Store did that because they were pushing my weekend here in town, and so they just sent it to me, and I'm like, all right, I'll put it up, and then that's the one that hit, and I was like, okay, and then the other, I stole a couple from Dry Bar because they already had a caption, so I just recorded that, and I'm like, I'll post that. And then I had a local comic that did one for me with the stick shift one, which that's almost a 2 million views too, but it's mostly people just hating me. Like, if you read the comments, like I never thought I would have offended. I offended less people with me making fun of people with anxiety than I did when I made fun of a car's transmission. And people were like, you piece of shit. And they're coming at me hard.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Because it's literally just saying that it's dumb to like driving a stick shift. Basically, that's the premise. Or,
really, I'm just making fun of myself because I can't drive a stick shift. And then I go, well, and I'm just pivoting it, going, you guys are dumb. And then the last line in the joke is, how do I even text in this situation? Because my hands are busy.
Great line. Yeah.
And so many people were like, well, you're not supposed to be texting at all. And I want to grab them and go, yeah, comedy. Like that. Yeah.
Somebody commented on I tweeted or whatever, the joke of Seattle weather or Seattle snow is like my penis in my erection,
Yeah.
Weatherman, whatever, and someone write, "What's the weatherman doing looking at your?" And I'm like, yeah.
It's exactly.
Wait a second. Why is the weatherman even involved in the size of your penis? I'm like that.
There's something about the internet where everyone that comments is just so on the spectrum. Like they're the people that don't come out in person because they all get the joke, but like everyone that leaves a comment, you're like, all right, you're autistic, I guess, because you're reading way too far into this. Step back a little bit, and then I think you'll see the whole picture.
Wow. Yeah. Well, speaking of people on the spectrum, I don't even know. Anyway.
Segue.
I changed my mind. I didn't want to out anybody. But we were talking about that whole. Okay, so let's talk because Andrew, you posted about it.
Oh, well, yeah, it was kind of related to, I think we were texting earlier about Justin Timberlake give this big apology. And like, I'm so sorry to Britney Spears and Janet Jackson. And I went down like a little rabbit hole of like, there's like a pro Britney thing. And this is all the mean shit he's done to her. And I was like, I don't really think he did anything. Like, I don't know.
He went on the radio and said he had sex with her. That was what he was apologizing.
But it was also like
the woman he was
dating? Was the radio guy's idea. They were like, well, you fucking fuck that whore. And then he's like, I mean, yeah, I did it. Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't, even if you didn't have sex with her, you're on like a cool hip hop show.
Yeah.
People are like, you did it. Like you could feel, all you have to say is yes, and the room's going to explode with adulation to you. And you're just supposed to, it's 7 a.m. You're hungover and you're like, I want them to like me.
Yeah, it's morning radio. All the lies I tell on morning radio to promote my club. Yeah, the show's going to be great. That's the biggest lie of all time.
They're going to come back to haunt you in 20 years when you become famous.
Yeah, they'll have to discover me first. That's fine. That'll mean I'm actually getting some attention on social media, but
one of the things that I with all this stuff when things happen, is like there's like two things I think that you could legitimately go like, oh yeah, he was kind of a dick. Like he should have or could have been like, hey, that was as much me as it was Janet Jackson. Which, by the way, that whole thing that she got in trouble was not, that's ridiculous anyway. That's the bigger issue to me.
Yeah.
Is that it was ridiculous that people were angry about her boob
A tit.
being
Right.
shown.
Well, they didn't plan that out. That looks so choreographed.
What ended up happening is she got backlash and he basically didn't really. And she got
like canceled. She like got a
Grammy.
performance at the Grammys that was
Yeah.
canceled, and then he performed instead, and it was like
he didn't
so
get
a lot of it is like a man taking a woman's place of a color, and sexism and whatever.
Should have never gotten in trouble for that. But also, who were the Grammys to cancel? Didn't like Bubba Sparks win something that year for like a song about big booty women or something?
Big Booty Hose is our song of the year, and yeah.
Everyone's so cool.
Under
Ludacris's "I've Got Hose" is our platinum single, and but Janet Jackson should be ashamed of herself. Absolutely.
Yeah. But then what happens is because people want to strengthen their argument, they add all of these like tiny little things. Like one of the things I read was like he has a long-standing feud with Ryan Gosling. Okay. Okay. And he kissed somebody because he wanted to fulfill a bet that he made with Ryan Gosling when they were 13 on the Mickey Mouse Club or something like that. And I'm like,
he was 13.
Well, he kissed her later in life to fulfill the third, and it's like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, if you brought this into a court for like a murder charge, and you're like, so you got evidence that he murdered the guy. Yeah, he murdered a guy. Also, by the way, he like yelled at his dog really loud once. You're like, the judge would be like, oh, okay, did that lead to the murder? Why are you? And you're like, oh no, that's bad too. And you're like, okay, can you just? He did two things.
Yeah.
Legitimately bad. Just say those two things, and you don't have to add all these other like tiny little mundane.
Whatever. So for the record, it's the Super Bowl with Janet Jackson. He was in the wrong somehow for agreeing to do it, and then
it's the aftermath of him not owning up and going, hey, like don't like.
He didn't stick up for her.
Didn't stick up for her, and he took advantage. He
wasn't in a position to. Because he wasn't the Timberlake he is now. This is 2004.
I mean, he was in the Super Bowl, but yeah, you're right. I mean,
no, but like Timberlake now is untouchable.
Right.
Like he can apologize for everything, but I don't think people are taking into account.
Sorry about the Civil War. It was my fault. I really apologize.
In 2004, he was still like trying to break away from like the Think look. And remember, then he did that movie Alpha Dog where they had to cover him in tattoos. Like he was trying so hard to do anything that didn't look like Bye Bye
Mouse Club, yeah.
And I'm sure he's got people going, you are not saying any of this to and people are like, you have so much power, and it's like you don't
not on the come up, because they can pull the plug on you too. And then also from his standpoint, he's looking at Janet Jackson, who's been on top of the world since like the early 90s. So at that point,
she was like, what, 6 in the band with her father, and
and she's been a multimillionaire for decades at that point. So he was probably like, wait, I have to stick up for you. I think you're gonna be fine. I'm trying to not be Joey Fatone in 5 years.
So, I get to host a Travel Channel show or.
It's also like they got mad about some jokes he did on SNL or whatever, and I'm like, he didn't write that. Like he didn't come to SNL. He shows up Friday and goes, what are my lines? You know what I mean? Like
he was reading a cue card. You could see his eyes doing this.
He's like, I don't want to say it, but so the Britney stuff is like just kind of misogyny level stuff is what they're. But again, he's 20-something years old and they were dating, and I don't even. They did a whole thing where like they were like trying to claim that they didn't have sex, right? They were
we're virgins,
which is crazy that they had to even say that, or that was a question that was being asked of them. That's totally unfair of both of them, and so to me, it's like.
Yeah, it was like they're showing clips of Britney crying in an interview where they're like, we have to ask about Justin. And I was like, no, you don't. You don't
Yeah.
have to ask him anything.
Yeah, I
And
don't.
she's sitting there going like, I guess you gotta do what you gotta do. It's like you're torturing this woman. Like, fuck
Yeah.
that.
I'm here to tell you about this music video where I'm holding a snake. I'm not here
Yeah.
to talk about my breakup with somebody. I wouldn't like no adult. That's they were manipulating somebody so young that she felt like she had to answer it.
Yeah, she's like 25.
Yeah, dude. If my neighbor came up to me and was like, "Hey, what happened to your wife?" I'd be like, "Why don't you go eat a dick? Why don't you tell you anything?" But she didn't have that in her repertoire.
Do you have fans that ask you that all the time? Probably.
Yeah, and I don't respond to them. It's none of your goddamn
Yeah.
business. It's my
Yeah.
life.
So what
And-
happened to your wife?
I'm gonna David Letterman.
Why did you kill your wife, Zoltan?
I didn't
Where-
kill her. She's very alive. She's very happy. That's so funny.
I'm gonna David Letterman this interview and make you talk only about your wife, ex-wife, for the next
Yeah.
30 minutes.
You're like, can we please? I have a weekend in Portland. I'm trying to move. Get the show.
So anyway, your wife, about her. So I mean, whatever. He can be like, oh yeah, and his apology I thought was good. And they're like half-hearted, and I'm like, it just seems like a.
Well, you wrote a thing like, yeah, he apologized 20 years later. No wonder he didn't mean it. Like, you're surprised that like 20 years later he didn't have the compassion for a thing he didn't give a shit about.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing with Letterman and Timberlake, like we're seeing what's coming now that Trump's out of office. Like he really was able to cause such a big distraction, but now everyone's bored and now they're like they're watching Tonight Show or Late Show episode from 13 years ago going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, yeah, the Letterman Lohan thing, they put like a 2-minute clip of it up and they're like, she's crying and she's being bullied. And it's like, if you watch the whole thing, she's killing also.
Right.
She's really funny. And she
Yeah.
came out and was like, I had a whole bit where I was going to have the tag on my dress and you were going to say you stole it again. And it's like really funny. And I don't know, it's more entertaining than like the same 6 answers over and over again. Like,
Right.
do you want to hear Paris Hilton talk? Like, I don't know.
well,
How dare you, Andrew?
I know I'm an asshole,
Here's
but
Raw Dog being Raw Dog again.
oh, Raw Dog Rivers, just no filter.
that's how you're gonna go into morning radio and be Raw Dog Rivers.
Following my dad's
Follow your
footsteps.
dad's
Yeah.
footsteps, like Zoltan. The problem for Letterman is that he has like again 3 things or 4 things that are like legitimate, like workplace affair with someone who was beneath him, power structure, big scandal, big deal. But again, it's like that's the thing that he did. That's the wrong thing. Now,
Right.
Yeah.
I read an article that was like 5 instances of him being sexist, and one of them was he asked Lady Gaga about her outfit too much. And then,
Well, she was wearing a meat suit. Like,
I
what do you
know.
want? You're supposed to just gloss over that? Oh, is that a prime rib? Anyway, tell us about the movie. You know?
Tri-tip on your shoulder?
he didn't ignore her crazy outfit, and they're like, it was so out of touch and sexist, and I was like, what are you doing here?
Dude, here's something.
Take that off your list. Make it 4 things, because that's not one of them.
Right. Well, also, what we're doing now is going to seem disgusting in 10 more years. Like all of the interviews that are being done that are totally acceptable and entertaining now, if we put on the lens of 10 to 15 years from now, we're going to go, good Lord. And all these people that are acting all high and mighty are going to be put under the same persecution that they're putting people under now. And that's going to be fun to see as an old.
I mean, your comedy clips look disgusting a year later. So, I mean, I can't imagine what the rest of it's going to be.
Dude, if I'm offending people with transmission jokes,
Doug, it's over.
dude, I am going to be like Tim Allen in 20 years.
Maybe I thought you meant transition, you know? Maybe you were like transitioning.
That part, like,
Let the car transition to who it wants to be, Zoltan.
if I was telling somebody that I got I'm getting a bunch of flack on TikTok for a transmission joke, and he was like, "Man, when you said the first part of that word," I was like, "What's this joke?" And then you said mission, and you're like, "Oh, all right." What are people so upset about?
Well, I think that, and that's like so then like you're talking about the late night folks too, Andrew, and it's like I haven't watched more than 3 minutes of late night in the last year, so I can't even comment on like if it's good or bad or funny or whatever. I know there's a lot of like wokeness going on, and
I
which
mean, Jimmy Fallon looks like he's being held hostage, if I'm being honest. It just doesn't look fun for him.
well, I mean, yeah, well, and
I don't know.
his skill is not monologue. His skill was in
Right.
funny games that went
But then once
viral.
he like messed up Trump's hair, people were like, "How dare you?"
Yeah, they didn't like that, and his
But
thing
it's
is
like,
like
what do you? It's like also,
only
it's
laughing at
Like
guests.
Jimmy Kimmel's coming out and he's like, "This was a Russian operation like a week ago or something," and it's like, what? Why are we expecting this from the host of the Man Show? You know what I mean? His specialty was girls jumping on trampolines, and now we need him to be a political woke correspondent. Like,
Yeah.
let's lower our expectations for comedians. You know?
Please.
The Daily Show has messed up a lot of things over the years. And I hope Jon Stewart reflects on that.
Well, and
Because everyone has to be like the Daily Show now. Everyone
Yes.
has to be like this
Well,
moral.
John was really good at it. You know?
Yeah. And then now everyone's doing their version of it instead of being themselves.
Trevor Noah has an afro and he's like pro-black, everybody, and it's like,
Yeah.
all right,
Every time I see Kimmel and he's like sobbing about social justice, I'm like, you were dressed like Karl Malone, like not that long ago. What are we doing here?
Well, and it sucks because like I'm on board with all of the messages.
right.
So like 100, almost 100%. So it's like frustrating to be like, yeah, no, it's not because I disagree with any of these messages. I just don't necessarily think that we're the joke. Let's write jokes and
Yeah, write a joke.
Comedy should be watched with comedy glasses, and
Right.
serious news and social issues should be watched with those glasses. It's the same reason that Andrew's video didn't get a bunch of views on Hofstadter's page, because I wanted Hofstadter.
Yeah.
And same thing. Don't come with your like we're gonna poke a hole into something and watch comedy with it, because there's plenty to do that. You know.
That's good. And well, and then I think that like to be fair, on the other side of that coin, I do want people to not get freaked out if I do decide to take a political or social stance in a joke.
Yeah.
So I get why. I mean, I don't want people crying because I say the word Trump in my show either. So
Yeah.
I
mean, how do we balance those two things? I guess.
I don't know.
I mean, the joke has got to be funnier than the message, or I mean, I don't know. I think I think the problem is with late night that they're so political and they're so opinionated that now you're going, oh, this Kimmel is the Daily Show now.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, no, he's still the chicks on trampolines guy. Like, I think maybe they're losing their voice, their comedic voice, because now they got writers and they got a bunch of like, they got a bunch of they got 8 people with different opinions in the writer's room, maybe.
Right. I think it's just the worst thing that can happen to comedy is when it starts thinking it's important.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look at Kumail's Twitter. He used to be a comedian, and then you watch his Twitter now, and you're like, "Oh, that's hilarious, Kumail. That's really funny stuff." Like,
I mean, I love Hofstadter, but it's like every tweet is like breaking news, whatever, and you're like, all right, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I follow Soledad O'Brien for this, like, because she follows me. Like, I don't, and that's in the same token, like, you should be able to voice your opinions and share your stuff too. But it's like I don't know, when like comedy starts becoming important, it's when we start kind of smoking our own ass at that point.
Yeah.
And it just loses the funny in that way sometimes.
So I think I've heard you say this via someone else's thing or something, but like comedy can't take itself serious. We're just clowns. Like comedy can either be super important. Like some people think it's like the most important thing in the world. And your opinion is like, we're just nothing is important and nothing matters or whatever.
I mean, not that nothing matters. It's just like, don't put so much weight in these words, because I think sometimes when people get offended, they really think that when we wrote this joke that they're so upset about, that we spent a lot of time assessing the angles. And
Yeah.
you're like, no. I just had this thought that I thought was funny, and I thought might make a room full of strangers laugh, and then
Yeah.
it did,
Yeah.
and you hated it. And that's all the thought that went into this. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't
there's not that much art in what we do, and it's really hard to get that point across to people.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people are trying to make it like there's a lot of folks in the comedy world trying to be like, why aren't you speaking about, or why aren't you talking about? And you're like, oh, I don't know, I was trying to drive a stick shift the other day and I thought of that instead.
Yeah.
I didn't also
To me,
I'm
it's
dumb.
like,
dumb.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't know anything about foreign relations.
Comedy feels like a math problem to me, where I'm like, it's like an equation, and then you're like, oh, I just solve it with, I just move this word. Like, I don't really think, like, I was doing the Seattle competition like last year, I think, and like, you know, I was closing on this like a cat cutting its wrist joke or whatever, and I think Adam texted me, he's like, you're closing on a suicide joke. It's really bold, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. It was like actually like a suicide joke. I just thought it was funny. I don't even think about the words I'm saying.
We
I
just register laughs, and we're like,
I go, oh, schools will outline kids with chalk. That's funny. Like, I don't know. I don't even think about the fact that kids are dying or like in the joke. I'm like, also, it's a joke. It's just not real, you know, fantasy.
Yeah. Exactly.
We-
You're just registering the audience's reaction. You're like, shit, it's working. I'm going to keep getting competition. Yeah.
Well, I think not to kind of dissect the frog too much, but I do think that's why hypothetical is so you know, that's why living in a hypothetical world as much as you can when you're doing stand-up can be really effective, you know, acting out hypotheticals and all that kind of stuff, because then people kind of they get the permission to be like, oh, okay, he's not like talking about my kid, like he's
right,
or he's not I don't know how you do that with driving a stick shift. He's not talking about my car, but you're like, no, I wasn't.
I don't know. I think that joke just showed that we're all snowflakes. Like that term is everybody. Because when you imagine someone driving a stick shift, I was thinking of like truckers,
right?
Like those Fast and the Furious diesel guys. And then no, they were just as upset as somebody, you know, anybody else.
Right. The fuck your feelings people have a bunch of feelings, and then
they drive stick shifts, and they got all butthurt about it.
Yeah, and well, it does. Yeah, if you're sitting on the stick shift, it does hurt your butt. But I've seen a few of those videos. Have you seen those on Pornhub? Those are
the stick shifts.
Yeah, women.
Yeah, wait till she gets to third gear and really starts rumbling.
The e-brake, women kind of doing the e-brake thing, and this.
Never. I've clicked on some weird shit, but that is.
Well, I outed myself.
Well, I know where I'm putting my DNA later tonight. I'll tell you that.
Where are you gonna have a show? Is it?
I don't know. I don't. We had a noon show that got canceled, so I'm assuming the night show is gonna be canceled too.
Oh, the noon one did get canceled. Okay.
But it's been fun. I opening for Sarah Colonna and John Ryan. She's married to John Ryan, was the punter for the Seahawks for 10 years, and we made a fun video way back in the day.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Great time. But what's funny is I bought this hat, which is the new punter. He got they drafted a new guy like a couple years ago, and then they cut John Ryan. And new guy is really good at punting, but you know, obviously the guy has a little bit of, you know, John has a little resentment maybe, and but I bought this hat and I just brought it because I'm friends with John.
$3 million a year.
Yeah, a little bit. I guess you'd be upset if someone stole that from you, but
okay.
He also feels a little butthurt from the team that they kind of like before the draft. They're like, you're safe. We're not drafting anybody. He's like, are you sure? Because I feel like I hear some rumblings. And but anyway, I thought it'd be funny because I'm friends with John to kind of fuck around with him. And so I brought the hat. Huh?
I'm sorry. Did you try to make him feel better in that situation? Going, dude, teams don't draft punters. Like, you're fine.
It's pretty funny.
Like, don't worry, you're safe. And then it didn't work
Well,
out.
then they drafted a punter, and he was like, "Well, I'm fucked." And they were like, "Well, we don't know. We don't know how good he is." They're like, "Well, you drafted him, so
We're gonna hold 2 punters. You're gonna be great.
he's the backup punter just in case something happens." So I left the hat. I like kind of wore it at first, but he didn't really say anything. And so then like in between shows on Friday, I just kind of left it out in the green room on the table. And then Saturday, I came back to the club, and or like Friday night, I was like, oh, I think I left my hat at the club. And then Saturday, I was like asking the security guard, I was like, I think I left my hat somewhere. And he's like, oh, I haven't seen it, but I'll look around. And then like in between shows, I was like, the waitress, I'm like, I left a hat maybe somewhere. And she's like, I haven't seen it. And John's kind of like, what does it say? And I'm like, God, it's a Big Dixon energy or whatever. And he's like, oh, interesting. And then like, an hour later, he's like, hey, I found your hat. And he like threw it up. It's like all exposed wiring and fucking. So he just threw it into the ceiling, and he's like, "Go get your hat, buddy." He's being a dick, and that was pretty funny. He's a fun guy.
Yeah, that's a fun response by him. I mean, the fact that he saw it without you being able to tease him about it.
Yeah, I mean, he got the first laugh on it, and then.
Sure,
and then I came back to the green room. He was like wearing he like grabbed a medium shirt, and he's a pretty jacked guy. So it was real stretched out. And I was like, hey, you break it, you buy it. And he's like, I wasn't paying for it either way. Funny. He's just a cool.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's a good sport.
I mean, maybe I'm a dick for flaunting it in his face, but I mean, he's doing okay. I mean, he's doing all right. I mean, come on. Can't we tell jokes anymore? Why is everyone so? It's not like I drove a stick shift in his face. Come on.
Is he doing okay though?
Andrew has no issues taking like a coffee cup from another coffee place to like a Starbucks or like another one. Like that's the same way of like wearing some other punter's hat.
Yeah. Like if you wore like a Zoltan shirt to like my show and sat in the front row, I'd be like, hey, that's fucking knock it off, But I would respect the joke. I'd be like, that's funny. I hate you, but it's funny.
You wouldn't let them come to the next show or next time you're in town.
But... No, I would let her. I need the numbers, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to.
I got to break 50. Dude.
I think
I just got to hit.
John Ryan doesn't need
I had 25% capacity before they instituted the regulation. So
I think we've landed on the difference. John Ryan doesn't need you to be at his wife's show. So that's
yeah, I probably won't be back. That's for sure. Yeah. This is my last time opening. He's unfollowed me on Twitter already, probably. So it's going to go well. But
yeah, I wouldn't have the balls to do that, or I don't know. Maybe it's not.
I think that's our relationship. I mean, we made a video. He just made fun of me the whole time, and I deserved it, So it's fine. I like it.
Yeah. I've all these years, and I still haven't met either one of them, just because it hasn't.
Oh yeah.
I canceled the gig. This was kind of funny. I'll just say I canceled the gig that a booker booked. One nighter locally because Jubal Flag was bringing me to or offered to bring me to Stand Up Live. No, maybe the other one, Tempe Improv, one of those two. I think Stand Up Live for a weekend of shows. And I was like, I mean,
yeah, I would have done the same.
Time Jubal was syndicated everywhere. I don't really know. And he, so he was going to all these cities and bringing Monica or me or somebody else or Andrew probably. I don't know. Anyway. And so I was like, it seems like, and then within a few, 12 hours, Jubal was like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, it's not happening. So I texted the booker like, hey, that other thing's not happening. And they were like, yeah, business. Sometimes it does that to you. That's like, shit.
That was really their response.
Yeah, just as a kind of a joke. They'd already filled the spot. So
Well, there you go. That would have been funny if that's what you said to them after when you were canceling.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's just what it does. And then you try
Yeah,
to get your thought back,
sometimes.
and they just send your own text back.
Your own screenshot. Woo-wee. That was basically the bit, yeah. But so I didn't meet her that time, and then I just got offered another week with her, and I was like, I'm not open that night, but I'm open, so it's just missed, and so. But anyway, she seems great. She's very funny, and I haven't seen much of her stand up, but she's very funny on Shameless. Love her on that show. So
She's great.
good
What
shit.
what are you doing Valentine's Day? What do you got? Big plans?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, my girlfriend and I, we were gonna make a steak and crack a bottle of wine and stay home. We were gonna, so not huge plans, just COVID plans, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Record
not
a
snowed in.
podcast. We were surprised you were available. We were like, he's gonna be out lavishly dining and whining.
And whining.
Yeah, that's lavishly. If I'm lavishly dining, I am whining. So
Oh, I don't like this bill.
And you're like sweating the check, right?
yeah, like goddamn Nobu. All right.
Zoltan is the rare. He's got sweatpants, but he also can't afford the check. So
Yeah. So because I like to look like I could own the place, but I also I don't have nice clothes, so it's a nice mix.
Not bad at all. I like it. Well, yeah, it's Andrew. You're maybe doing a show, maybe not doing a show. I'm snowed in here, so just staying in and having chicken something. I don't know.
yeah, I sent a girl flowers, but ended up just being the seeds in like a pot. And so I was like, I guess I didn't do a lot of research. I just went like, flower site, here's the thing. And so she's got a box of seeds and was like, fucking thanks, I guess.
Well,
I'm
that's
like,
real.
"All right."
That's not just a made up.
Yeah, that's a bit, yeah.
Oh, I thought
I
that's
mean, like, I sent her my seed for Valentine's Day. It's a different
Classic raw dog.
classic raw dog.
You could
I'm
mail
never
her
gonna live
that
that down.
painting behind you and send her Zoltan's.
Oh,
What there's lots of that's fun. That's okay. So I didn't know that was a real story. Who's this one? You don't have to tell us who it is.
Shy. What? We kind of talked about it last week. She's like a Navy chick. Remember, she was like, "Oh, I mostly just tell Uber drivers to turn around," and I'm like, "Oh, that's like me, where you're like, you're a comedian." I'm like, "I'm mostly an Uber driver," you know.
I see. I see. He's you don't have to. You tell yourself to turn around because you have to drive.
Yeah,
Uber.
yeah, I am the driver. I'd be like,
Yeah.
I guess, sorry, wrong turn. I thought there was a McDonald's down here.
That's funny. Well, so seeds. Yeah, what's the joke there? She needs to nurture.
Well, it was it was sort of like I did send her like a text that was like, well, this is our first test. You know, if you can commit to these flowers for a month, then maybe I'll give you my heart or whatever. You know.
Okay.
But I don't know. It was just an aggressive move, I guess. We're not really like dating or anything, but I was just like
I think you lucked out that it was seeds. I think that to be honest.
why?
Well, if it's pretty casual and you're not that how you just described it, I think sending flowers is a little bit
Bold.
a little bit much to receive.
Yeah.
Receiving seeds is like, it's kind of cute and funny. That's kind of where we are in our relationship. You know,
I see. We're
we're
planting the seeds of our relationship.
planning this, yeah, and okay, that's better. That's a little less intrusive than. But what do I know?
You may also have just sent her a hobby.
You
Like,
sent her work. Hey, good luck.
I'll send her how to work a stick shift. You know, I'm gonna buy her a car for Christmas. It's just gonna be a bunch of parts and a wrench. You know, like, hey, you figure it out. You know, you put it together if you really want it.
What projects or bits or things have you been working on, Zoltan? Anything?
I've been doing the little shows that I've been doing. I've been filming them and trying to do like little vlog style, day in the life. And that's kind of what I've been working on.
You did that great one for Oklahoma City with the tornado sirens, right?
Yeah. And
funny.
Yeah, people dug it. And so I'm trying to do a little more things like that. I'm editing a video from last week in La Jolla. And other than that, I wrote a script. I think we all did during all of this. I wrote a feature, a comedy about a guy who steals his small business loan. and runs off to Mexico to live lavishly.
Oh.
But yeah, other than that, those are the only two things. I don't know what to do with it now. I think I just proud to finish something.
Well, if you need somebody on the border for your movie who doesn't want the Mexicans to come back or whatever, I could play that. I look like I
You look racist.
fit the bill. Yeah, that was where. Hell yeah, that's fun. Yeah, I don't. I got nothing. I'm still trying to make a couple bits work. That it was fun to do new stuff that like is not done, but like this many years in, not done is still good enough. That's kind of fun.
Right.
You do it and you're like, okay, that's not as good as or strong or whatever, but the audience didn't know, and they were like, oh, that seems like it's a finished joke as far as we're concerned, and you're like, that's kind of nice. But then it's do I want to release it this way or? But
yeah,
yes, probably.
That's what I thought about. But I also, I mean, like I thought I conflicted with that COVID special, but it was like, I don't know if any of these jokes are gonna work in a month. Like if Trump is not elected, or if whatever, or I don't know if we're gonna be alive in a couple months. Like just put it out there, and I can continue to work on them because it's like I don't think it's burning too much, and
it's not on an album.
I mean, even people come up to me. This is the thing. People come up to you after a show and quote the opener's joke, and so it's like.
They don't
they're not gonna watch a YouTube video and then be like, you fucking did that already. It's like,
yeah.
I learned that from working with Mark Normand, because I featured for him in Tacoma for the first time, and then we've worked together since. But his whole set back in Tacoma, which was like a year or two ago, was all online in just forms of 5-minute Conan O'Brien sets. And nobody gave a shit. Everyone laughed just as hard at it as if, and I'm sure they saw him. Like, they didn't just stumble in not knowing who he was.
Or one of the 5.
Yeah.
The other 4, Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying he's not working on new material, because he is. I just worked with him and he put out his thing on YouTube. And the stuff he's doing now is different from that. But yeah, this idea of like burning your material, I think it's kind of like an old school kind of idea now. And I don't think it works that way as much anymore. So
plus I'll add new little tags, and I'll add, you make it way better over the course of a couple shows. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in like 6 months, it's like, it might be a whole new different bit. Yeah.
Right.
The dry bar stuff for me, when I'm still doing a couple, maybe a couple of those. Depends on what the show is or how much time I have to do. But I was like, that is nothing like what it is live.
Right.
Because of tags or dirtiness.
Well, and the N-word and all the stuff you throw in there.
He doesn't have
nuisance. But
neighbors.
Like one guy recently, this is so funny. I'm in this golf roasting group. I might have talked about this in the podcast, doesn't matter. Where all they do is roast each other, and it's kind of fun. But then one person posted a picture of a very heavyset female golfer and an article about how she's really struggled with that over the years in a lot of different ways. And then people just start piling on, making fun of her. And I was like, well, what's this? She didn't agree to be in this thing. And that's not roasting when the person's not here. It's just trolling.
Yeah.
And so I kept just putting every bad negative, and it was the same 3 jokes. Oh, John Daly's daughter. There's a joke about 310-yard drives, and it was like 310 pounds, and I was like, same joke. And then so I commented on every negative one with just her Twitter, and I was like, oh, you guys can go roast her. There's a roasting group. Go ahead. She's got a Twitter. She's public. And they were like, what? Why are you being such a pussy? And I was like, oh no, I'm saying, you guys want to roast her? Go for it. Yeah. And they're like,
say it to her face.
Tell her. And I was like, yeah, this is dumb. What are we doing here? And one guy, and I was like, these are bad jokes. And then someone found that I was a comedian, of course.
Yeah.
And of course, found my worst dry bar clip and was like, if this is comedy. And I was like, oh, you are 100% correct. the bit about me punching a heckler after a show because he called his server a cunt is not as good in front of Mormons. Go figure. I was like, it's really, really, yeah, it's terrible. I wish they wouldn't have released it. They got it 2 million views. So what are you gonna do? And
Stand by it.
These dry bar folks are you getting your checks there, Zoltan? Are they still sending them out to anybody?
Yeah, they're late as can be. I think I just got a quarterly check for 2017, but
Yeah.
I mean, they're showing up and they clear when I take them to the bank, so that's good. But yeah, they're super late. Super late.
I won't speak numbers, but I remember being in Portland in a vehicle in the parking lot of Acropolis.
Stick shift or automatic?
It was a stick shift. It was my car. That's funny. Picked up Zoltan at his hotel. We went to get steaks at a steakhouse.
Strip club.
Okay, I was waiting for you to.
Oh, I remember this.
I didn't want to. Yeah. And I remember.
Dude, I made fun of that all weekend. All weekend, I made fun of that because I was like, dude, because I landed and I'm on that trolley thing going into town, and then you texted me like, you want to go get a steak? This place called the Strip Club, and because there's a steakhouse in San Diego, it might be closed now, but it was called the Strip Club.
Oh, like
sure, man, I'd love to get a steak.
And, like a strip of steak. You're like, oh yeah.
And so he picks me up, and then we go to this. We just stop in front of a seedy building, and I was like, "Oh, you meant a strip club?" And he was like, "Yeah, is this okay? Like, we don't have to." And I'm like, "No, I mean, we're here. Let's do it." And it was so weird because we're eating a steak, and there's a girl's bare asshole wafting over our food. And I'm like the cook that dropped it off was wearing a hairnet, but she's just out here bare-assed, just over the mashed potatoes. And I'm like, what's happening here?
Wafting is that's a good word for it.
Now, were you wearing sweatpants in the strip club, in the steakhouse?
I just got off a flight, and that's all that I wear.
Oh, well, that wasn't the story I was going to tell, but that's great. That's so funny. It was funny to me because as we were pulling away, I was like, oh, yeah, dry bar. Did you get your, you said how do I say this without being tacky? You said a number that I thought you were, you said a number that I thought that was a lower number. And I very quickly realized it was the higher version of that number.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's what happens when you get 50 million views on a.
Yeah, well, that's why like there's a real charge with like dry bar comics getting together, going, let's fight.
I know.
But they've been paying me like well, so that doesn't mean they don't owe me more.
Right.
So like I'm still like with the fight, and I'm with the brothers.
I've noticed you're a little more like, oh yeah, crazy guys.
Yeah, I only got 50 on my last check. Oh, $50. Well, 50,000, but it's tough
like
out here.
That. He goes, yeah, I got 11 or something, and I was like, oh, I got 2,400, and he's like, yeah, I got 11, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I got more than Zoltan, and then I was like, oh, 11,000.
Yeah, you really piss off the dog and the cat people there. You just get them fighting in the comments. That's what it is.
They send you their checks. That's how it goes. I did. Someone sent a check to actual Dry Bar as a tip for me. It was this old woman because she didn't know how to tip on the app, so she sent a handwritten, like, I have Parkinson's handwriting.
Oh my God.
To Dry Bar, and then all they did was email me. They like, hey, we got a tip. We're gonna mail it to you. And this is like during the pandemic. I'm like, sweet man, I could use this money. And it was just a sweet old lady who left this nice note, and it was like a check for $20. And I was like, that's so nice. Like, those are the things that make me think that Dry Bar might be honest, is that they sent me this old lady's check, or it could just be a cover up, and they're really just washing millions. Who knows?
Well, I feel a similar way of like, even though it's not on yours or Brad Upton's level, I'm like, I've been getting them, not like clockwork, but I've been getting them, and they clear.
Right.
And, I thought it was gonna be a $1,200 gig, or $50, whatever, one time, and a little video. So
yeah, that's the other thing. I thought I only did it for a one-time payment, and then it turned out to give me a fan base and then a good amount of money too. So it's like, are they fucking us? Maybe. Their bookkeeping, the emails they send us with the invoice is very vague.
They just give you numbers, and then but you're like, I don't know what any of that means, and they're like, well, just trust us, and you're like, all right.
Yeah, and a brand, but all the different things that we talk about in that Facebook group. But yeah, it's weird. I don't know. Maybe one day we'll know the truth, and it'd be funny if we dug into it and we found out that they overpaid all of us. Like we go to court, and then they're like, "Yeah, man, our accountant sucked. He overpaid everybody, and we're gonna need some of that money back."
That's why we had to declare bankruptcy. So
Zoltan and Brad bankrupted everybody. Well, some of the production costs, that would be interesting to invoice, where it's like, does it cost 20 grand to make a special? Because I did it for about $500 and,
Everyone's numbers are so different too. Like we compared them. I think mine was 17. It was like a very specific numbers, like 17 and
8 or something like that. Yeah.
And then we finally covered that. But then they wanted me to they reached out about doing a second
one, right? Yeah.
They offered me less money up front and a higher production cost and less of a percentage split. And I'm like, I don't know if you guys know how to negotiate, but this this doesn't work. And then they also said that we're going to cut off all of your checks.
You go back to zero.
Until the second special is paid off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you can't merge the two specials into one. Those are two separate entities. Yeah. You still pay me for this, and then that one has to pay off itself. But it ended up not working out.
Yeah.
Wise guys in April. Please come.
March.
Well, not anymore after he hears this podcast.
Nobody listens. God, I hope not. But anyway, so well, hey, so great to have you again. Zoltan on all the apps is Zoltan comedy, right?
Yeah, that's my handle on everything. So follow me on everything, please.
Yeah, Andrew is Andrew J. Rivers on all the things. I'm Cory Michaelis comedy on all of the things, and this was Homeschool. Thank you guys so much. Bye. Raw dog.
Raw dog. It was great hanging with you guys. I got to get going. Thanks for having me on your podcast. That was a lot of fun, man.